Hello, everybody. I am really excited to have this opportunity today to get out in front of you virtually and bring some information to your attention regarding Spring 21 registration. Before I start, I just want to make sure that you guys can all hear and see me. There should be a little hand button that you can press. Just press that hand button. Let me know that you're able to see me, hear me. Awesome. All right. I'm seeing that pop in. Very, very good. If at any point there's any issues technology-wise, please let me know. I'm seeing some people saying hi in the questions area. Hello, everybody. Good to see you. This is strange. I feel like I haven't seen you guys in so long. I hope you guys know I think about you all the time, and I'm working hard for you here behind the scenes. So for those who don't know me, my name is Angelo Gargaro. I'm the Student Success Coordinator for the School of Business, minus SAEM. And today, this is a webinar I am using to share information regarding Spring 21 registration. We're going to start with me just giving this information to you. I would ask that any questions you hold until the end whenever I say that we're ready to go with that so that I can address them kind of all at once after sharing some of this information for you. We'll try to get through the info here really quickly so I can answer your questions, but please pay attention. There's so much that goes into registration right now because of COVID. You guys know how crazy fall was, and I'm hoping Point Park learned something from that, and I think that Point Park did, and hopefully spring is going to be much better. And I actually think that all things considered, I think Point Park did a fairly good job in the fall and making things work the best that they could. So I'm gonna just start off here and share the registration dates for you guys. So here's what they are. Pay attention. Athletes, veterans, and honor students, they can register starting this Thursday, October the 29th. Seniors will then go next Monday, November the 2nd. Juniors will be Wednesday, November the 4th. Sophomores will be Monday, November the 9th. And then freshmen will be Wednesday, November the 11th. Here's something to pay attention to with your classification. It's what you currently are right now, not what you will be in the spring semester. So your classification levels looking at what you were going into the fall. If you're a junior right now and at the end of fall you would become a senior, you're still registering with juniors, okay? Same thing as like any other scenario. If you're a freshman right now, but let's say you'd be bumped into the sophomore level come spring, you're still registering with freshmen going into spring. If you have any questions on what classification you are, reach out to me outside of this webinar and I can help you understand that. A good resource to find that out, we'll talk about that here in a moment, is your advising worksheet. It does list your classification on that as well. If you go to Point Park's website, you can find all the registration dates on there as well. So here's how you guys register. You should, everybody in here for the most part, unless you're a new transfer, should know how to register for your classes. But I want to go over this real quick because not only do you need to know how to register, but you need to know how I'm going to be reviewing your classes. I cannot be meeting with everybody individually and recommending classes. You have more than enough resources to help you. And there's a method to the madness. You got to trust me here or else this is never going to work. So here's what you need to do. On your registration date, you need to go to PointWeb and you'll go to course registration and then add drop. This should all be pretty familiar to you guys, okay? When you're in add drop, the first thing you want to do is make sure you change the term from fall to spring 21. It's going to auto default to the current term we're in. If you don't change it, you're only going to see fall classes, so make sure you change. Select spring 21 and then search by the course code, which would be like BMGT, and the course number, example would be 201. So if you're going to try to find Business Law 1, you want to see what sections are available. You search the course code, BMGT, you search the course number 201 and everything will show for you. Here's some clarifications as well. I get this question a lot. If you're searching for general electives, there's no official general elective list. You have to look in the add drop section for whatever's offered. A general elective is any class that the school's offering in that particular semester that you don't already need in your program and that you meet the prerequisites to. Same deal with concentration electives, except a little bit more finite. It is any course the School of Business offers, so that's BMGT, CMPS, Econ, Finance, Accounting, PADM, all of those would count for the concentration elective. You have to meet the prerequisite, and it cannot be a course that you need to take in your program already. So once you go in and you start to find the classes that you want and the sections you prefer, you can start reserving them. All right. Now, a lot of you reach out and ask me to give you advice on what classes you should take. It's impossible for me to do that right now for every one of you. It's just impossible. There's not enough time in the day, and there's so many moving pieces right now. So I need you to trust me and look at the advising worksheet to see what you still have. The advising worksheet is found in PointWeb under course needs, and then clicking the advising worksheet link. It shows you what you've completed with a green check mark. It shows you what you're currently in with a circle, and it shows you what you still need with an X. What you'll do is you will reserve your spring classes according to the advising worksheet. If you need to use degree requirements and course sequencing as well, reach out and I can get you that. Once you reserve your classes, they're not set in stone. What it does is it shows on my end. I can then look at the classes you picked. I don't care the day, the time, the instructor, the modality. I don't care about any of that. The only thing I care about is that you pick the correct class, that it makes sense in the sequence, that you meet prerequisites and things like that. I know many of you want me to tell you before you reserve your classes what you should be reserving, but that's not how this is going to work. You have to reserve them first. Then email me, tell me when they're reserved. I will go in and check them, and you will get a specific response from me with feedback if there's any changes that are needed. The Alert Advisor button does not work in PointWeb. So if you reserve your classes and you click that button thinking I'm going to see it, I am not. I have asked for this to get fixed a million times and it just isn't getting fixed. It's out of my control. So you have to email me and tell me when you are done reserving your classes. I would prefer a pretty nearly done schedule. Don't be throwing in just random classes and ask me to review it and then just fix it for you. You got to put some time and effort into this, guys, to help you, to help me, to help all of us. But when you reserve the classes and you email me telling me that your classes have been reserved, that's when I will go in, I will check everything and make sure we're good to go. If for some reason there's complications as you're going and reserving classes, reach out to me one-on-one and I can help you in those moments. When you're reserving your classes, please pay attention. If you're an athlete, do not schedule during your practices, okay? You are excused for competition. You are not excused from classes for practice. So schedule around that. If you work, if you got kids, you guys know your schedule. This is why I need you to go and reserve your classes because I don't know what you got going on. All I care about is that you're taking the right stuff at the right time. So pay attention to those time conflicts. And again, use your resources. The advising worksheet is the best resource. It shows you what you still need to take. It's that simple, right? If you need an a course sequence which shows you when you should be taking your classes, or if you need your degree requirements which just shows you those classes, let me know in an email and I'll get that to you. A couple more things that I'm just going to point out here and then I'm going to answer your questions here. When you're reserving your classes, there are things to understand in terms of modality and format. It's going to be similar to the fall, but let me break this down for you. There's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, about 5 different options of modality that you can choose. In class is the first. That's the standard stuff. That's what you guys are used to registering for. That's going to end in sections like EA or DA, things like that. Remote. Again, this is new now, it's the fall. Remote means that you are considered a ground student. You're attending your classes synchronously, meaning at the scheduled day and time. Synchronous is scheduled day and time. Asynchronous is just like on your own time, okay? So remote ends in sections RL. Reiterate, in class standard sections, EADA. Remote means that you are a ground student meeting synchronously at the scheduled day and time, and those sections are designated with RL codes. The next is a high flex option. You may or may not get to choose high flex. Some of you may be experiencing high flex right now where an example is like Math 180 or CMPS 114 or BMGT 208. These classes, what they're doing is to de-densify. Let's say it was a class that was running Monday and Wednesday from 11:20 to 12:50. They're telling a group A that they're coming to class on Tuesday and then going synchronously remote on Thursday, and then they're flipping it where the Thursday class group B is attending remote synchronously on Monday and then in class on Wednesday. It's confusing as hell, I get it, but that's what kind of happened this fall. We're gonna see that again in the spring. You may not get that choice. You're gonna pick your in-class sections, and then to de-densify toward the beginning of the semester, these changes may occur. The last two I wanna mention you should be somewhat familiar with. There are online classes that are the full 15-week online. They end in DL for distance learning. And then there's the 8-week accelerated online only classes for online only students. So you guys are not supposed to be in these. You can't register for them. If there's one-offs, you have to reach out and let me know. But they are accelerated 8-week courses. They run in either term 1 or term 2. You have to be a junior with a 3.0 and can never have attempted the course previously to be considered for an online only course. Let's recap quickly on the different modalities and formats. You have in class, that's your regular stuff. Remote, ending in sections RL, that is synchronous learning, but from a distance. Then you have high flex, which is de-densifying these classes and splitting them into like that group A, group B. You have online, which is your full 15-week online courses. You guys can register at will for those. And then you have the 8-week accelerated online only classes ending in sections ON. Whew, okay, we're almost there with the info dump, and then I'm going to answer your questions. Pass fail. Pass fail is going to be accepted for both fall 20 and now I'm being told spring of 21. So again, I'll say it again. I've had a lot of emails about this fall. And it's actually not called pass fail. So let me correct that. It's really called pass no credit, which is better than pass fail for whatever reason, because then you're not considered a fail, but a no credit. So pass no credit will be offered this fall. Pass no credit will be offered this spring. So know that when you go to register. Summer registration will be available at the exact same time as spring registration. So if you are somebody that wants to take summer classes in summer of 21, register for them the same time as your spring classes. Pay attention to any holds that you might have. If there's a hold from CSS, none of you guys should have that. That's usually only for freshmen. And then student accounts sometimes puts holds on for finances. So pay attention to that. If you have a hold, you can't register and you have to get it resolved before you can. The last thing I'm going to mention before I open it up to the Q&A is if you are anticipating on graduating at the end of spring or summer of 21, make sure you apply for graduation. There is a link for it. You can find it in PointWeb. Search graduation in PointWeb. You'll see the link to apply for graduation. And what that does is that tells the registrar's office when you anticipate to graduate. And then in that semester, they will review your degree progress and confer your degree, if available, applicable at the end of that semester. All right, so just to recap real quick, spring registration dates for athletes, veterans, honors, this Thursday, October 29, seniors are Monday, November 2nd, juniors, Wednesday, November 4, sophomores, Monday, November 9, and freshmen, Wednesday, November the 11th. You will register via PointWeb and reserve your classes so that I can review them. I know that this gives anxiety, but just trust me. I bet you guys know, I hope you know, I got your back and I work my ass off for you, and I'm going to. So please just trust me here. PointWeb, reserve your classes. If there's issues in the process, let me know. Once you're done reserving them, email me and I will review them. Okay. I think I said what I need to say, so I appreciate your time and attention. I'm going to open up the floor now to your questions. You can ask your questions via the questions tab in the GoToWebinar control panel. They are sent privately. I won't say your name so that your confidentiality is respected, but if you have any questions on what I've said, if you have other questions that I didn't cover topics on, now is your time to ask. This question was, if we graduate fall 21, should we do the application during the summer then? Yeah, I wouldn't apply for fall 21 graduation just yet. I would wait until spring 21 semester concludes, and then you'll be hearing from me around that time to remind everybody in that category to apply for graduation. So yeah, if you're fall 21, I wouldn't do it just yet. Good question. Let me read the next one. Where do we find the advising check sheet you talked about? It's called the advising worksheet, just for clarification. You find it in PointWeb. You go to, your guys' view is different than mine being a student, but I think it's on the left-hand side. You should see a link that says course needs. You want to find the link that says course needs, and then there's a link that says advising worksheet. This will show you what classification you are, your GPA, your standing, if you have any holds, your advisors, the classes you've completed, you're currently in, still need to take, any minors, any double majors, your free electives, all of that. So it's a good reference point for sure. This next question is, I sent in a graduation application but never got a response. If you didn't get a response yet, it could be a variable amount of reasons. If you're not due to graduate until, say, spring of 21, you might not get that communication until spring of 21. So if you need to ask, for an clarification or an update, you will want to email. I'm typing this in the chat here, Office of the Registrar at pointpark.edu. I just sent that in the main chat. That is who you want to reach out to if you have questions about graduation, if you're not getting responses. Next question. So the 8-week classes are only open to online students. That is 100% correct. You guys will see the 8-week online only classes. They end in sections ON, and you'll also be able to tell by the start and end dates. They are only 8 weeks, so they'll start and end very quickly. Those are only for online only students. But if there's a mitigating reason, like if a class isn't offered, if it utterly conflicts with something, you have to let me know, and I can reach out for permission. I have no authority here, guys. I think you should know that by now. I have no power. I'm just I'm the low man on the totem pole here. I'm just here to support you and to be your BFFs. So if you need an online only class, just let me know and I'll look into it. But they're really strict about this. Keep in mind, there's a whole other category of student that is online only, and they have to be able to register for these classes and have availability as well before we steal them. Remember, you have to be a junior with a 3.0 and cannot have already attempted the course in question to even be considered for online only. Good question. If you're in the process right now switching modalities to online, should I register for online classes or remote? That person who sent me that, I know we're already in communication kind of and talking about this. Reach out to me one-on-one. I am going to have to register your first 2 term 1 classes until you get assigned your new online advisor, and they will help you schedule for the rest of the spring term. So to reiterate, I know this is kind of specific to this one student, but if you're changing your modality from ground to online for the spring, you actually won't be able to register for online only classes because you're still listed as ground until the end of this semester. So I will have to register these classes for you. Send me an email of the 2 to 3 online only classes in term 1 that you want, and I'll add them for you. Catching up on a couple questions here, guys. Give me 1 second. The question is, I currently have 110 credits. Does this mean that some classes might not be available in the spring if I'm required to take some in certain semesters? There are classes that are only offered in spring and in fall. So what I would advise you guys to do is you can look right now in PointWeb and see what is offered in spring of 21. So you can start creating mock schedules and planning out your schedule right now so that whenever your registration date opens, you can just jump and dive right in and get it out of the way, reserve your classes so you can let me know that it's ready for review. If you're running into a situation, maybe you're a senior and a class isn't offered that you need to graduate, reach out to me and tell me the specific course that isn't offered. It may be a course code change. We may have to reach out to the department chair for a course sub or an independent study. If you don't see a class, don't freak out, because the school's going to work with you to try to figure out something. Again, I have no authority in any of this. I'm here as a liaison to bridge the gap and to facilitate. And again, I hope by now, 3 years I've been in this role, you guys are starting to trust that I've got your backs. I got another question here about the advising worksheet, which is fine. So to reiterate, the advising worksheet you can find in PointWeb. It is a living, breathing document, meaning every time you pull it, you're seeing it in real time in that moment. It's in PointWeb. I'm sorry I don't know the exact location because my access point is different than yours as a student. What you want to look for in PointWeb is a link that says course needs, and then Advising Worksheet. When you do that, it will open a new tab in your browser. You'll have a PDF web browser of it. You can then save it, print it, whatever you need to do, and it will show you, again, the classes you're currently in, you've completed, and that you still need to take. I have somebody who jumped in a little bit late and wants to know how to reserve classes for next semester. Just a quick recap on that. It's the same way that you guys have done it every semester. There is a new category, a new model of registration for new freshmen coming in, so that doesn't involve you guys. You are registering the same way you always have. You go into PointWeb, you go to Add Drop Classes, change the term to Spring of 21, search by course code and course number. You'll check the box next to the preferred section of the course, hit reserve, or I think it says add course. And then after you're done reserving your classes, email me, let me know it's done, and I will review. This next question is, can a ground student register for a 15-week online course? Yes, 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 yes. They end in section DL, and those are 100% open to you. If there's here's the thing. If there is a checkbox next to the class and you want it, I say add it. Even if it has an ON at the end and it's online only, if they're showing it as reservable, then do it. But you're more than likely not going to see that. ON 8-week online classes are not available to you. You shouldn't be able to add them. If you need one, you have to reach out to me individually. The 15-week DL classes should be available to you. Give me a second to read this next question. These are great questions, guys. I appreciate it. The question is, are you able to take more than 18 credits in extreme circumstances? 1 to 3 credit courses extra. I'm assuming you would just have to pay for it, but wasn't sure. This student, I think I know why you're asking this question, because you emailed me earlier and I just haven't gotten back to it yet. If it's an honors class, like a 1-credit honors class that's bumping you over, you will not be charged for that. So that'll be okay. If you're in 18 and an honors bumps you to 19, you'll be fine. If you're in 18 and you're taking another 3 credits, then you would have to pay out of pocket for that additional cost. You would want to reach out to student accounts to see exactly what the finances look like in that scenario. But from an academic perspective, I don't really have a problem with that. It's whenever you start to go to like 24 credits that we have to get special permission. I'm being asked to repeat the course codes again, and this warrants repeating. So listen, there's 5 different modalities or formats that you will be able to register for essentially this spring. In classes, your standard stuff like you guys are used to, they'll end in the standard sections, EA, DA, DC. Your remote sections means you're meeting synchronously at the scheduled day and time, but at a distance, remote, right from a computer. Again, you're still meeting day and time, the same date and time, so pay attention to that. Those sections end in RL, remote learning. High flex, you may not get the choice in this. This is more of like the registrar's office and departments de-densifying for social distancing efforts, where there'll be a group A that meets on Tuesday in class and then remotely synchronously on the other day, and then vice versa. Online only is a 15-week online class that you all can take. It's for ground students. They end in section DL. And then the last one is online only. They end in sections ON. They are 8 weeks. They are not for you, and you need special permission for them. This question is, how many credits do all students have to complete in total? That depends on the program. And I can't think of the one for your program right now off the top of my head. But I know that I've sent you details on the remaining classes. And when it comes to remaining credits, I actually care more about remaining classes, because not all classes equal 3 credits. So it's more about how many classes you have left, in my opinion, than the amount of credits left. At least that's how I look at it. Good question. How will the pass no credit option play to our GPA? So here's how it works. If you use pass or no credit, there's 0 GPA weight on that. So if you fail a class, if you're going to get an F and you choose no credit, you will not have a 0.0 GPA averaged into your GPA, your cumulative GPA. Same thing, if you have an A, I don't know why you would do this, so don't do this. But if you had an A in a class and you chose to pass it, and like if you actually chose the pass signification, designation, and not get the A, that 4.0 that would normally weigh into your cumulative would no longer weigh in. It's no weight at all. So it has no weight in your GPA. So like if you're getting a D, people ask me this all the time, when should I pass no credit? Well, if you're failing a class, you should certainly take no credit instead of getting the F. There's so much nuance on when you should take the pass. I tend to think that like if it's a C or higher, you should not take the pass, but there's nuance. If you're a straight A student and this semester you got 4 A's and 1 C, yeah, that C is gonna bring down your GPA. Maybe it makes sense to pass it. Okay, so I have run through all the questions so far. Really great questions. What else is on your guys' mind? Questions about things this fall, questions about things in the spring, registration. Right now is your time to ask me. It is I'm very hard to nail down right now. I know that. I'm literally in a meeting every second that I'm not in a meeting right now. So if you have a question, please ask right now. As I'm waiting for questions to come in, let me just give some reminders here. Number one, when you exit the, hold on one second, guys. Can you still hear me? I'm getting, okay, I think my internet was being stupid there for a second. Train of thought. Oh, when you exit this webinar, whenever that is, there will be a survey. Please fill it out. Give me some feedback so I know how I did. It'll help me do these better in the future. And again, the key here is this. Please just trust me. Please reserve your classes yourself. I can help you in the moment if there's questions, concerns, but there are so many resources. Once you reserve your classes, it's not the end of it, right? It's not like it's set in stone. What it does is it just gives me a pathway to see what your mind's thinking, what you're interested in versus what the course sequence is saying versus what is offered versus prereqs and things like that. I promise you this is going to be the best way to go about it. Here's a few more questions. How to find out the classes sheet that has already been covered. If you're referring to the advising worksheet, it is in PointWeb. You want to look for course needs. It is a link that says course needs, and then a link that says advising worksheet. When you do that, it will then show you that document that I'm saying is living, breathing, shows you what you've taken, what you still need, things like that. This question was, how do we have to register early? If you are an early demographic to register, which the earliest is starting this Thursday, so nobody should be registering yet, you just automatically get the access starting around 8:30 in the morning of the day that you register. So for the student that asked that question, that is this Thursday, October the 29th, is when you would go and register. Could I take at least 4 courses to still be considered as attending part-time? That's a really great question. The answer is no. So listen, part-time is between 1 and 11 credits. The second you hit 12 credits, you become full-time. Full-time then is 12 credits to 18. As soon as you surpass 18, you're above full-time, and that's whenever you have to start a different payment process. Don't be sorry for this question. The question was, can classes for your minor count towards general electives as well? Yes, with just slight nuance. This is the answer for both double majors and minors. Any classes that you need in the other major or the minor, first of all, if it's already needed in the major, let's just use this as an example. You're a business major with a minor in marketing. You have to take MKTS 205 in the business major. You also have to take it in the minor. As soon as you take it, it counts in both places. Let's pretend, though, that MKTS 205 was not required in the business major, but it was only required in the minor. Then in that case, when you take it for the minor, if you have an available general elective or concentration elective, it will then count there. I hope that makes sense. If you need the class in major A and you also need it in minor or major B, it will double dip. Great questions. There's still a good amount of people here in the webinar, so if you have questions, please, now is the time to ask. There's no such thing as a silly question. I'll I'll open it up to really anything that you have on your mind. Obviously, this webinar was specific to spring registration. Do you guys have any questions about how to actually reserve your classes, like the actual act of it, or the way that I am really preferring that we go about reviewing classes and me providing feedback? Are there any questions or concerns about that at all? I feel like it's going to work. I really, really do. And again, just trust me here. Any other questions or concerns? Here's another question. Give me a second. To the student who asked this, will those codes be by that particular course? Can you expand? I don't know what you mean necessarily. And as that student's following up, you're welcome. As that student's following up, what other questions do we have? What's on your mind? Are you guys hanging in there? You guys doing okay? Don't forget that there is tutoring that is still available. It is all remote right now, for better or for worse. I think probably for better. Do not forget to utilize that. Here's another question. For pass no credit courses, do I need to retake it in order to get required credit for graduation? Great question. There's two answers. If you take a pass on a class, let's just say BMGT 201, you get a C and you want to take the P, the pass, you will have passed the course. It counts as accomplishing successfully that course. You will not need to take it again. It just won't help or decrease your GPA, but it will count as a pass course on your transcript. There'll be a P to designate that passing grade. If you take a no credit, yes, you need to retake it. It's the same thing, and pay attention to this. A lot of you withdrew from classes this fall, and that's okay. It's a crazy semester, right? If you withdraw from a class, if you don't successfully pass it, if you take a no credit, you have to retake it. And usually you want to retake it the very next semester and add an additional course so you don't fall behind on sequence. The clarification on that question, will those codes be by the classes for the particular course? Meaning, like, will the DL and RL and ONs, and yes, they will be there. So for example, if you want to schedule BMGT 201, Business Law 1, you go and look, you'll see BMGT 201 and then either EADL or EA or OADL or OARL. It's the last part of that section you want to pay attention to. If you see it end in an RL, remote learning, DL, distance learning, that's the 15-week online. ON, I don't know what the hell that means, but that's the 8-week accelerated. And then the high flex will probably be done without like your input, really, just to be blunt, by the registrar's office for dedensification. So yes, you will see those in there. I expect to graduate in fall of 21. What is the best date to register for spring of 21? Literally the day that you can register. Guys, I cannot drive this home enough right now. Please register for your classes as soon as possible. If your registration date is Monday, November the 2nd, there's no excuse, none, for you to not reserve your classes on Monday. This stuff is gonna fly. People want their sections, they wanna be in remote or in class. There's so many moving pieces. Do not wait. Do not wait on this. I know some of you are. Do not. It is gonna be madness if you do not get on this and do this right away. Why do we have to choose courses 2 months before classes begin? Well, actually, registration's opening later this semester. Usually it opens up a lot earlier. And the reason why, I mean, you don't have to. It's being strongly advised that you do. And the reason why it's being strongly advised is because, again, you have to keep in mind that we have to pay attention to social distancing efforts from the state of Pennsylvania, from the CDC, plus the regulations that the university's putting into place. There's so many moving pieces. I can't tell you how many moving pieces there really are to get scheduling going for both fall and spring. So you don't have to do it right away, but not doing it right away puts you at risk to not get the class you want with the instructor you want at the time you want and the modality that you want, to be on sequence to graduate. And really, I can't imagine one reason why registering early would be a neglectful kind of thing. This question was, what time does November 2 registration start? It starts in the morning at 8 o'clock or 8:30. I never get clarification on that. I'm always told 8 or 8:30. And that'll be across the board. Whenever your registration date opens, it's 8 or 8:30 in the morning that it opens. This is a good question. I'm supposed to graduate this spring on my advising worksheet. It says that I have 9 general electives. Would those electives have been covered by my second major? Yes, more than likely. And I feel like we've talked about this, but we can definitely look again. It doesn't hurt to put a second set of eyes. But guys, please understand, I get a lot of communications on this too. The advising worksheet is a resource and a tool. It is not 100% correct. It does not reflect double majors correctly all the time because it can't always show the double dip. The double dip exists, like I was explaining earlier, but the system's stupid. Technology still has some ways to go. So please don't freak out when you see certain things saying that it's not meeting requirements. Just reach out and let me know if you need clarification. I'm always happy to try to provide it. You're welcome. All right, guys, what other questions, what other concerns do we have right now? I'm just thinking about double majoring or one minor. When should I apply? At any point, whenever you feel comfortable. There's no, I mean, the sooner the better, so you can start diving into that curriculum and start chipping away. I mean, a double major, you know, realistically could put an extra year on your education, if not more. Now, there's obviously, that's dependent upon how much you've already accomplished, how much double dipping there is, a lot of nuance, but the sooner the better. All I need is an email for those things too. I mean, unless you want more of a detailed conversation with a minor, all I need is an email. Hey, Angelo, I want to elect a minor in blah, blah, blah. I then facilitate with the School of Business, registrar's office, and we get that going. And then when it comes to registering for double majors and minors, you just kind of pepper those in with your main majors classes and stuff like that throughout your remaining semesters. Do we need to go through you for co-ops and internships, or what is the process for that? Great question. I have nothing to do with co-ops and internships other than getting it registered for you after it's been approved. So here is the short and skinny on how this is done. You reach out to career development, ideally Donice Booker. Her name, her email, I'm putting right now in the chat. One second. Donice Booker is the experiential learning coordinator. You'll reach out to her. She'll work with you in Handshake to get a profile, to get everything in line there. Once you two agree on the internship or co-op, then you get a faculty advisor like a Patrick Mulvihill, a Margie Gilfillan, a Jane Olshansky. And then after all of that is done, career development reaches out to me to tell me that you can do an internship or a co-op, who the faculty advisor is, and then I facilitate with moving that forward to the registrar's office to be processed. So really, you need to be working with career development. A student in here who is just recently, or maybe they're doing one right now, a co-op, was saying that Donice can help. Absolutely. I have 6 classes attending part-time remaining. Is it possible to grad in fall of 21? I'm sure I asked this before. If you have 6 classes remaining, meaning going into spring of 21, then you could do 3 classes in spring. I would assume they're all 3 classes or 3 credits equaling 9 credits. That's under the threshold of full-time. And then 3 classes in the fall for 9 credits under full-time. The key is, are those 3 classes that you need to take, are they available, and do they meet prerequisites to take in those particular semesters? That's what you need to go into PointWeb and look at and see, are they offered, which ones are offered, and reserve your classes so that I can review and double check. I'm all caught up on your questions, guys. What else do you have here before we break? Really great questions. Honestly, I appreciate you guys coming in and giving this platform an opportunity. It is really beneficial, I think, and a lot easier than typing. My fingers are killing me these days from all the typing. Any other questions, concerns? As I wait for any other questions to come through, again, reminder, you will be reserving your classes. That is how I will then be able to review them and give feedback, or just hit approve if they're good. Once I hit approve, then you move forward. And I really think this is going to be the best way. It doesn't mean you're going in alone. If you go in and reserve your classes, I am going to look at them and make sure that they make sense and that they are correct and all of that. I'm going to get you. I just need you to figure out when, how, where, all that kind of stuff for the sections that you want. I'm going to say the registration dates one more time as I give the opportunity for anybody else to weigh in with questions. This Thursday, October 29th, is athletes, veterans, honors. Monday, November 2nd, are seniors. Wednesday, November 4th, are juniors. My voice is dying on me. Sophomores are Monday, November 9th, and freshmen, Wednesday, November the 11th. I still have a good amount of people here in the webinar, which is more than fine. If you have any questions, please ask as you go to exit the webinar, which you're more than welcome to exit at this point if you have no more questions. Please take a moment. There will be a survey that you can fill out just to help me do better the next time. Any final questions, concerns, thoughts? If not, you are welcome to exit the webinar. Okay, so it looks like a good amount of you are now exiting with that encouragement. So with that, you're welcome. You're very welcome. I appreciate the kind words. With that, I'm going to end the webinar. Thank you all for joining. Try to find some solace in these crazy times. Try to alleviate the stress and trust that I am working hard for you. I am. I care about you guys. I love my job. I love working with you. So work with me and we'll get through this. I love you all. Be safe out there. If you need something, reach out to me and we will go from there. We'll talk soon. Bye, guys.